Alright, so Venom. So today I'm going to be looking at Venom. I watched it like a while ago. I tried filming it, but my camera's been acting a little off for the past weeks or so. So I watched it a week ago, but I'm just going to be looking at what critics have been saying about it and the overall score. To be honest, I think it's a load of crap that what it got, because Venom is an overall great film. I'm not disagreeing 100% with what these critics are saying. They make some really good points in this film that I agree with when I look at what they're saying now. But the overall score of this film is ridiculous. It's absolutely unacceptable. Venom got a 30% by Rotten Tomatoes, 7.1 out of 10 by IMDb. Personally, I love IMDb. I think they're great, they're always reliable, and they're very consistent with their reviews. Rotten Tomatoes, on the other hand, is a pile of fucking shit. Like, it's never been consistent at all. A few cases of movies where it's been rated very highly, like by the critics, but then it's been crapped on by the fans, like the Star Wars The Last Jedi movie. It was rated really shit by fans, but Rotten Tomatoes rated it very highly, and in that instance I agree with them, because the movie was actually quite good aesthetically. There's a constant running theme with Rotten Tomatoes where they crap on a movie, but then you see audience ratings and like what the fans are saying about it, how much viewers actually like the film, and it topples what the critics are saying. Rotten Tomatoes gave it what, 30%? Right? It started off at 25, so it's just gone up because they've been getting crapped on so much for putting it so low. And guess what? 30% by the critics, but 89% of people watched this film, liked this film. And that's what I'm saying about this film. It's like, you have to go in there and you have to decide for yourself if you like it, and so many people are doing that, and guess what? They're liking it because it's a good film. And Rotten Tomatoes just don't know what the fuck they're doing, honestly. We're gonna dive in and look at what these critics are saying. I've seen some of the stuff already, but I agree with some of it, but majority I don't really agree with. Brandon Davis said the action sequences and Eddie and Venom's odd relationship are the highlights of Venom, but if Sony wants to move forward with a universe, it needs to just keep the few parts that work and scrap the larger proportion that doesn't. So yeah, I do agree with that in some sense. Yeah, I think Venom and Eddie's relationship, spot on. Like, it was so good. Like, the back and forth, the like dialogue was perfect. Tom Hardy's acting was brilliant. Like, the way he acted was similar to the way he acted in Legend, where he was playing two different characters. It was just brilliant. Like, they just bounced off each other, these characters, and the relationship, I couldn't get enough of it. Like, I honestly enjoyed it so much, and that's one of the things that I was going into this film. I was hoping that if they didn't do the relationship between these two characters well enough, it's just not going to set up well for a future movie, because you don't want to watch this character if it's not going to bond well with the person it's with. Mike Ryan said, I'm fascinated with Venom. The cast seems to know all in a darker superhero film, except Tom Hardy, who is basically remaking Jim Carrey's Liar Liar. I kind of love watching this movie in a Rocky horror type of way. At one point, Tom Hardy and Venom make out. I'm not gonna spoil that, but yeah, they kind of make out. They're just like, not really. They don't, well, sort of. It's hard to explain. Just watch the film for yourself and decide. I did see Jim Carrey's Liar Liar in Tom Hardy's acting, and I don't think it was bad that Tom Hardy went for like a sort of like upbeat comedic role. I don't think that it would have been great if he was down all the time and his acting was just so grim. I think he played a character really well. I don't know, he might need to change it up a little bit in the future, but I think Tom Hardy played Eddie Brock quite well. I don't think I can see anyone else really doing that much better of a job. Like, honestly, right now I think Tom Hardy's perfect fit for that role. Venom is a Catwoman level bad. No, it's really not. You're a fucking retard. With Tom Hardy's worst performance since This Means War, don't see this movie. How is it as bad as Catwoman? Go watch Halle Berry's Catwoman. It is so unbelievably bad. The cinematography, the acting, the costume, the whole script, and the storyline to that movie is, from start to finish, crap. Pure crap. This movie has a good story, some great actors in it. Arguably not all of them perform very well. The relationship and the whole character of Venom was perfectly fine with me. I thought it was great. It flowed very well. I don't agree with this at all. Do not take what this guy's saying, because if you go watch the movie for yourself, you'll know for a fact it's not as bad as the Daredevil movie or the Catwoman movie. It's not even on that level. It's way higher. Significant chunks of Venom don't work at all, but there is some serious charm to Eddie/Venom's relationship. Not sure I had the intended reactions to some scenes, but fun is fun, even when it's totally ridiculous, right? It's too bad they didn't go for the R rating though. I 100% agree with what he said at the end there. The problem with the R ratings is you can't really ever have an R rating. Companies' interests are always going to get in the way. Companies make these films, they put a lot of money into these films. They gotta make that money back. Sometimes R ratings work with things like Logan. That made money back, and it made a lot of money, right? And it was very good, and the R rating worked with it. Other movies like The Meg, which was supposed to be R rated, and I was upset it didn't get the R rating. It's just because they needed to make money off of it, and they probably felt like it wasn't gonna make that much money maybe. So they took the R rating away, and they make it for a wider audience, so families can go watch that, and you know, it makes more money for the company. If you make it R rating, it may be very good, but not everyone can see it, then you're not going to earn a lot of money off that film. So it just sucks with R ratings, because companies' interests always get in the way. I do agree with this. Significant chunks of Venom don't work. One of the problems I saw with this film is there were certain scenes in this film that didn't need to be there. They wasted a lot of time on it, and it kind of just dragged on and drifted a little bit. The scene where Eddie and Venom are talking, and it was good context to the character, but at points it was just like, okay, we don't really need to know this. You could have probably filled something else in here, maybe an action scene, or maybe something to progress the story a little bit more. Just, yeah, like them talking for like 5 minutes or so. So that kind of stuff, it was a little bit ridiculous, because you don't need to have that. Like, there were just scenes that dragged on. I think Venom came way too late into this film. I think it was like, Venom came 40 minutes into this film, maybe somewhere around that. That is way too late. Like, he needs to come earlier than that. And I think the whole start of the film, for me, there was so many scenes with Eddie, and like, we saw like his career, like how it's been going, like places he's been as a reporter, and that's okay and all, but like, it doesn't really do any depth to the character, doesn't progress him at all really, just shows what he's been doing. There was like a scene where he was talking to his boss, all that kind of stuff, it didn't need to be there. Like, it could just be mentioned. It doesn't need to be shown over like scenes, like that's just too much, like wasting time. And that's why Venom came in so late, because they had those scenes at the start that didn't need to be there, but they were there anyways. Another criticism I'd have of this film is that they need to fix the script for the future film, because the script was not good enough at points. There was just dialogue that was very, just awkward, and it kind of brought down the acting of some of the characters. I will say this about Venom's R rating. One of the reasons that I reckon Sony haven't done the R rating, and this has been talked about, is because they're probably looking for a future relationship with Spider-Man and that character to link up with Venom. But they can't do that unless they keep it PG. They can't have that R rating if they want to link up with Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is a part of the MCU, which, you know, Disney are running through Marvel, so that is got to be kept PG. Disney won't ever do an R-rated film, because it just looks bad on them. They have to appeal to children, right? And that younger audience and families to go watch films. If you do an R-rated film, you're never gonna, I don't really see Venom linking up with Spider-Man. So they're looking for a future link up with Spider-Man, and I think that's why they took away the R-rated. I think this film did well without the R-rating anyway. It didn't really do much harm to it at all. I think it just would have been probably better action scenes with that already. Problem with Rotten Tomatoes is the clear fucking sign that they have a consistent rating where they crap on movies, but audiences clearly like them, which shows that it actually wasn't as bad as they say it is. This is why you can't trust Rotten Tomatoes. Suicide Squad got 27% by critics on Rotten Tomatoes, right? But the 60% of audiences that watched it liked it. And then you go on Justice League, 40% by the critics on Rotten Tomatoes, but 74% of the people who viewed it liked it. I'm not saying that, you know, the critics are 100% wrong with Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just saying that you can clearly see that what they're saying isn't linking up with how audiences are feeling after they've watched these films. I know Justice League was not a great film. It wasn't. In my opinion, it wasn't. I watched it twice now, and the second time I watched it, it's kind of growing on me, I feel, the more I watch it. But overall, I can say that it wasn't a great film. Suicide Squad, I do not agree with that. I enjoyed Suicide Squad. The first time I watched it, I think I've watched it like 3 or 4 times now. I don't dislike it. The more I watch it, I think it just stays as good as I think it was the first time I watched it. And I completely don't agree with what it got. Same thing with Venom. I do not agree that Venom deserved the rating that it got. I think it was a very good film. It wasn't one of the best superhero films I've ever seen. I'm not gonna say it was. In my book, it was still one of my favorites. Not the best I've seen, but one of my favorites. Overall, yeah, I think it was a great film. Another criticism I'd have of Venom is that it was tonally quite poor. It switched from dark and horror-y type tone to a very light, upbeat, comedic tone. So it started off, the opening scene was very dark and sinister, and then it went very comedic and like upbeat. Then it went very dark and sinister again, and then upbeat. So that for me kind of switched between those tones, and it just never really found a consistent tone throughout the film. And that's something that I think they need to fix. I definitely think we should see more of Venom in the future. I don't know if I'd like to see them link up with Spider-Man just yet. I think maybe hold off for like a 3rd film, but it just depends how much. If Venom doesn't do well again for a 2nd film, if they do make a 2nd film, it does speak trouble. So I don't know, maybe bringing in Spider-Man might actually help the character and boost the next movie. So Tom Hardy said that 45 minutes of the film that he actually liked was cut from the original that was released in the cinemas. So it's kind of like a Zack Snyder kind of feel, where there's like just like 40 odd minutes of footage that is just missing, and like people want to go see why Tom Hardy really wanted that footage in the film, and I want to see why he liked it so much. So if Tom Hardy isn't liking, because Tom Hardy is a very big actor, so he could easily not come back for another movie. I think he likes the character, so I think he will come back, but it just depends on how he feels with it. But they need to fix that if they're gonna go forward with future relations, because he's leading this franchise right now. So they need to make sure he's happy with what's going on. This whole Venom franchise, or the Sony franchise that they're going for, has a lot of issues, and it's not really started off on the best foot, but I think it can still do really well. I like this movie, and I think people are very interested to see another one. My final thoughts is that I never agree with what the critics said on this, especially the Rotten Tomato critics. I think that the IMDb, they rated it quite low at the start, and then it went up to like a 7 out of 10, I think, then a 7.1 out of 10. So IMDb raised it, and so did Rotten Tomatoes. It started at like 25, then it went up to 30, but still not good enough at all. It should be, in my opinion, it should be rated around 75 to 80% by Rotten Tomatoes, and then IMDb should give it around a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. Yeah, I think that's what it deserves. Do not ever listen to what Rotten Tomatoes say. They are always chatting shit. They do not know what they're talking about. If you want to get a good review on a film and you want to trust in what the reviewers are saying and what the critics are saying, then go on IMDb and check out what they have said about the film, because they are reliable. Do not listen to Rotten Tomatoes. They're fucking shit. So no, this film is good. Go watch this film.